Okay, so let's get tucked into this bank reconciliation worked example. Now, you may be asked for part of this worked example. You may be asked very small, specific questions. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go through as many as of the different eventualities that we can, so that you can see whatever it is that you need to do. Okay, so you may just be asked for a journal, you may be asked what the debits or credits are, you may be asked what the balance for the statement of financial position should be, you may be asked from the cash book what the balance on the bank statement is, you may be asked from the bank statement what the balance on the cash book is, and so on and so forth. So basically what we're doing here in this worked example is we're working through as many of the eventualities that we can. So I'm going to go straight down to the bottom and I'm going to have a look at what it is that we're required to do. First thing we're required to do is to prepare the adjusted cash book for the month of December. And then we're required to prepare a statement on the 31st of December 2012, reconciling the adjusted cash book with the bank statement balance. Okay, so this is what we're trying to do. We're going to adjust the cash book. And when we've adjusted the cash book, then we're going to reconcile the difference between the cash book with the bank statement. Okay, so the bank reconciliation statement is part B and the adjusted cash book is part A. Okay, so if we remember that we said what we need to do in our steps is we need to tick off from the cash book to the bank statement, and then we need to reconcile the difference between the corrected cash book and the bank statement. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these details here. On January the 5th, 2013, Turmeric received her bank statement for the month ended the 31st of December. And the bank statement showed a balance of 11,060 overdraft. So as at the 31st of December, we owed the bank, we had an overdraft of 11,060. Now the cash book showed a balance of 23,648 credit as at that date, and on examination of the cash book and the bank statement, the following were discovered. Okay, so there were bank charges that had not been recorded, there was a dishonoured cheque, there was an error, there was a payment, a penalty, a cheque for sundry expenses that was recorded in the bank account but omitted from the cash book, cash receipts, cash lodged, standing orders, lodgements that's not recorded in the cash book, lodgements that weren't recorded in the bank, and a number of cheques. Okay, so let's work our way through this. I'm going to flick back and forth from my Excel spreadsheet so that you see where each item goes. Okay, so let's go over to our spreadsheet, and the first thing we want to do is we want to have a look at the cash book and we want to correct the cash book. Okay, so the unadjusted balance on the cash book is minus 23,648. Okay, minus 23,648. Let me see, can I make this any bigger? There we go, that should be a bit better. Okay, so that's my unadjusted balance. And what I'm searching for, what I'm trying to get to, is an adjusted balance that has everything covered. Okay, so let's have a look and we'll see what exactly we need to do. So back to our Word document then. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing is we've got bank charges of 165 had not been recorded in the cash book. Okay, bank charges of 165 had not been recorded in the cash book. So what am I going to do with that? I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to, because it's bank charges, it would be money going out of my account that I haven't recorded. It's going to be a minus. So I'm going to have my minus 165 there. So let's have a look at that in our Excel. And there it is. Okay, so let's just make that red because we've accounted for that one. Okay, next then, we've got a dishonoured cheque of 2256 from a receivable that had been recorded as cash receipts in error in the cash book. Okay, so we've a dishonoured cheque of 2256 from a receivable. It had been recorded as a cash receipts in error in the cash book. So what are we going to have to do here? Number one, we're going to have to deduct the 2256. Okay, we're going to have to deduct that 2256, and then we're going to have to account account for the dishonoured cheque part of it as well. So we're going to have to do that twice, 2256, and we're going to have to do that a second time. So let's have a look at that. So we've got our dishonoured cheque, so that reverses the lodgement in the first place. And then we're deducting the dishonoured cheque itself. So we've a dishonoured cheque, so we've got to reverse that lodgement, and then we've got the dishonoured cheque itself. So I'm going to highlight the two of those. Okay. And as I say, any of these, as we're going through, you message me if there's anything that you're not satisfied with. The bank has debited the bank account in error with 500 that relates to another customer. Okay, so this is a bank statement error. Okay, that 500 that's on the bank statement, it's an error of 500 on the bank statement. It belongs to another customer. But the question is, you're fixing your cash book. So would that 500 error that the bank made have been on your cash book? And of course, the answer to that is no. So we don't see that 500 anywhere here on this list. Okay, we don't see that. And why don't we see that? Because that was the bank's error. It has nothing to do with your cash book. You don't have to adjust your cash book for errors that the bank made. Okay, so we're ignoring that for the moment. We're going to use that in our bank rec. So this one here is going to be on our bank rec, but it's not in this adjusted cash book balance. So a payment of $14.50 on the 27th of December has not been processed by the bank and had not been paid out as Turmeric had exceeded her overdraft limit. This payment has been posted to the cash book on the 27th of December. So we made a payment of $14.50, but the bank didn't honour that because we had exceeded our overdraft limit. So that has been, so from our perspective, we've made a payment and that was dishonoured to our supplier. Okay, so that $14.50 is recorded on our cash book as having been paid, but it actually hasn't been paid at all. So what do we need to do then? We've got our $16.50, pardon me, have I got the right figure there? $14.50, pardon me. We've got our $14.50 and we need to add that back to our cash balance because it actually hasn't been paid out. So we would have to pay that again. We'd have to write a new cheque for it, or the supplier would represent that cheque at the bank. But let's have a look now. So we've got our $14.50. We're adding that back because that payment wasn't actually made. Okay. A cheque of $125 to pay sundry expenses was recorded in the bank account, but it was omitted from the cash book. Okay, so it was recorded in the bank account, but it was omitted from the cash book. So here we go. We have to adjust our cash book. We have to deduct that $125. So there we go, $125. Cash receipts of $3,700 were posted as cash payments of $7,300 in the cash book. Okay, so in our cash book, we had $7,300 of a payment, which was incorrect. Okay, so that was a cash payment. So we're going to have to add back that $7,300, and then we're going to have to deduct that $3,700. Okay, so add back the $7,300. Oh, pardon me, and it was a cash receipt, so it's add the $3,700. Okay, so add back the $7,300 because that was, we thought it was a payment, so we need to reverse that. So we're reversing that $7,300, and then it's a receipt, pardon me, not a payment. It's a receipt, so you've got your $3,700, you're going to add that on. $3,700 added on to your cash book. Okay, that was that one. On the 27th of December, they lodged cash of $110 to her personal bank account. And this was lodged to the bank business account in error. So that 110 was on the bank statement, okay, but it should have gone to her personal bank account. Again, it was an error by the bank. You don't need to adjust your items. This was it was cash of 110 that was lodged to her personal bank account. There's an error on the bank statement. You do not have to lodge that to your cash book because you don't need to fix errors on the bank when you're adjusting your cash book. We will see it in the bank rec in a few minutes. Okay, standing orders and direct debits of 1090 had not been posted to the cash book. Okay, so here we are deducting the 1090. Okay. Receivables of 29 were lodged directly to the bank account. There's no record of this on the cash book. Okay, so receivables of 29 were lodged directly to the bank account. No record has been made of this on the cash book, so we're going to add this 29. There it is, we're adding the 29. Oh, I had skipped number 5. Sorry guys, the bank statement shows a penalty of 250 for exceeding the approved overdraft, and this has not been recorded in the cash book. And that would be a typical situation where interest, bank charges or penalties would not be shown in your cash book until you get your bank statement. So where do I have that? I have it up here. I'm deducting the 250 from my cash balance because I wouldn't have seen that before I saw the bank statement. Okay, going back here to a lodgement of 3790 was lodged to the bank on the 31st of December and had not been credited by the bank. So your 3790, do you need to adjust for that? No, you don't. It's already on your cash book. It's just not in the bank. So we'll see this figure on our bank reconciliation, but we don't see it on our adjustment to our cash account. Okay, so 11 we're not going to see here on our adjusted cash balance. And finally then, the following checks drawn on the bank account had not been presented to the bank. Now these are unpresented checks. We have them in our account, so we don't need to adjust our cash book for that. We have them, the bank does not. Okay, so we're not going to see those on our adjusted cash book. All right, so we have everything there listed. And of course, in the exam, if you were doing this in a paper-based exam, you would tick them off. Or if you were doing it on a computer-based exam, you might just take a little note of each one that you had done. But I've done everything that I need to do. So the net adjustment that I need to do between my positives and my negatives, the net adjustment that I need to do is I need to add 2908 to my cash book. And I'm doing that here, and that's giving me an adjusted balance as at the 31st of the 12th, minus 14440. Okay, minus 14440. So according to my cash book, I'm minus 1440. I'm minus 14440 in overdraft on my bank account. Okay, now so I want to now do my bank rec, because my first part of my question was to prepare the adjusted cash book, which I've just done. And then I want to prepare a statement on the 31st of the 12th, reconciling the adjusted cash book balance with the bank statement balance. Okay, so I'm going over here to my bank rec. So what do I start with? I start with, and again, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger for us. There we go. So I start with my bank statement balance, and that was minus 11060. Okay. There were 2 errors that the bank had made. One of them needed to be added back, and one of them needed to be deducted. So what were they again? Let's have a look. There was the 500. So the bank had debited money that belonged to somebody else. Okay, they debited that, so we need to credit it now from the bank statement. Okay, so they had debited it, so we need to credit it to the bank statement, which, what does that mean for us? We're going to add it back, because if they debit it, we would want to do the opposite. Okay, so they've debited my bank account, I would therefore want to do the opposite. So I'm going to add back the 500. And then they had another bank error there of 110, where that 110 should have gone to her personal account. It shouldn't have gone into her business bank account. So I'm deducting that 110. Okay, so I've got the original bank balance. I'm correcting their 500 error. I'm correcting the error where they put money into this business bank account rather than her personal bank account. So I have to take that off. I've also got to deduct any outstanding checks because the overdraft here has not accounted for the outstanding checks. So what was the value on those outstanding checks? The value on the outstanding checks was 925, 6010 and 625. So I've got to account for those. Okay, there they are. So my outstanding checks list is 7560. And then the outstanding lodgement that I had lodged or they had lodged and hadn't been recorded on the bank statement was 3790. And you could have a number of lodgements as well. So I'm going to add that 3790. And what do I do then? I look at my balance per the statement with all the amendments that need to be made, and that gives me a cash book balance of minus 14440, which is the same as my adjusted cash book balance, so I'm happy with that. So what have I said here? That the difference between my cash book balance and my bank statement balance is any corrected errors plus the outstanding checks, less the outstanding checks plus the outstanding lodgements. That will be the difference between my bank statement balance and my cash book. And depending on whether you start with your cash book or you start with your bank statement, that will depend on whether you add or deduct. But the idea is that the adjusted cash book balance must be the same as your reconciliation statement. And so it is. So these are the items that are the difference, and I can explain that difference, and that's what your bank rec is about. It's not about making it the same, because the bank balance per the statement on the bank statement is minus 11060. That cannot be the same as minus 14440. What you want to do is you want to explain the difference. Now, what's really important here is that all of these items are not on your bank statement, and you'll want to watch out for them on the next bank statement. So they'll be the first things that you'll look for on the next bank statement before you start to check your cash book, because your new cash book will be for a new month and it won't have those outstanding items on it. So you'll have to tick those off from the bank rec and then start in the next month with the new cash book and start ticking things off. Okay, so I hope that has helped you with all the different things that you might be asked. So we had quite a different selection of items there that we could have been asked, with 12 different items that we could have been asked. And I hope that helps you to see how you would work a bank rec. Now, that's not to say that you will be actually asked in your exam to do the bank rec, but you might be asked starting from one balance to explain the difference between the two, or what is the other balance, or you might be asked for the debits and credits of a particular transaction, or indeed you might be asked to do something else to do with the bank reconciliation. But once you know what you're doing, you'll be able to answer any question that you're given. Once again, I'm going to say to you that you need to go to your book, look at the questions that your book gives you as well on whatever bank reconciliation questions that they might give. Look at any past papers that you can get your hands on, review any mocks that you can get your hands on, and work your way through there to build up your expertise so that you know exactly how to answer any bank rec question. All right, so we'll leave it there on our bank rec worked example.